Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to preview this weekend's pretty loaded boxing action, in which over in the UK, we've got Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin for the IBF heavyweight title.
That's right.
Also, you have Lee Selby versus, what's my man's name? Dang, I cannot remember right now. I got it right here. It's Lee Selby and...
Was it Thompson?
No, Eric Hunter.
Hunter, okay.
And that's for the IBF featherweight title. And then you have Matthew Macklin and Brian Rose on that card as well. And then over in the States, on pay-per-view, we got, of course, the big fight, Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley, part 3. You also have Arthur Abraham versus Gilberto Ramirez and Evgeny Gradovich versus Oscar Velez.
Is it Velez or Valdez? It's Valdez.
Valdez, I'm sorry. I got that mixed up. It's Valdez.
Velez fought last week. That was Jason Velez.
Yes. All right, so we're not going to cover all of those fights. That's a whole lot of fisticuffs.
Macklin should win. I think Lee Selby is the name, so he should win.
Yeah, Eric Hunter, I think I've seen him fight, and he's not bad. And keep an eye on that one, because the last time you had two guys who didn't have a whole lot of knockouts, it ended real quick.
Yeah.
So check that out, and then we'll talk about Joshua Martin.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get right into that. This is going to be Anthony Joshua's first title shot in the heavyweight division versus Charles Martin, who just won the heavyweight belt, the vacant IBF title, after politics happened.
There's still some more politics because the Adamek and Molina fight, I think, was for a piece of the IBF title. It's really weird. I don't like to get into it.
Boo. But yeah, this one is pretty interesting because Joshua has shown a lot of promise, and we haven't seen a lot of Martin, but it's one of those things where can he step up and show out on the big lights? In his fight versus Glasgow, he was showing a little bit of promise before Glasgow got hurt and ended the fight prematurely. Pretty anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
But we know what we got in Joshua already. We know he's got power in both hands.
Mm-hmm.
We know he's huge. We know he knows how to use it. He works his fundamentals well. Great jab, textbook left hook, all that great stuff. And now he's going against a slick southpaw in Martin, something I don't think he's seen yet.
No. Remember, his best fight was his last fight versus Dylan White.
Yeah.
Which he really showed the ability to recover, because he did get hurt in that fight versus White. And if you know heavyweights, one punch can change it all.
Yes. And with Martin, he has a guy who likes to give angles, likes to do pull counters a lot, and is, I guess people like to say, cute in the ring. He likes to do, little fancy moves and stuff like that. But he does use his jab. It's pretty accurate. His straight left is pretty good as well. His hook is coming around. He likes to hook and then lean back and try and catch you with the left hand as you try to counter him. And we'll see if that works against someone with the pedigree of Joshua, because he's had a boatload of amateur experience, and now he's gotten quite a good amount of pro experience as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a very interesting fight. Since the signing of it, I personally have thought that Joshua should win this fight. I'm still in that mindset that Joshua should win this fight. I just haven't seen enough of Martin to believe that he can go over to London and come out with a victory. But like Rob said, this is the heavyweight division, and one punch can change everything. And he may land that one punch.
Yeah, so with Joshua, he has the pedigree. He's super muscled, and he hasn't really shown too many signs of fatiguing, but he's never been 10 rounds.
Right.
I think the longest he's gone was against White, which ended in the 7th round.
It's either the 7th or 8th.
Around
I'll
the
have to look it up and make sure.
Which is around the 7th to 8th, so we don't know what his stamina level is. And if you look at Martin and Joshua, the muscle mass difference is pretty vast.
Yeah,
But it takes a lot to fuel those muscles. And a really muscular guy like Joshua, and I've seen his workout, so he does pretty good work. Martin, on the other hand, he's very slick, like you said.
yeah.
He's a southpaw, but my problem there is he hasn't been tested because Joshua has had the better level of competition, and you can't really count Glasgow so much just because of the fact that it was 2 rounds and it was an injury.
Yeah, an injury in the 3rd round.
The problem that I have with Martin, even though he does all the cute stuff, it's not really, and it's really not aesthetically pleasing, is the fact that he punches from a low, having his hands low. While he has a kind of a sneaky right hook, he throws it from here and not here. So either he's going to surprise Joshua, or he's going to throw it and Joshua's going to hit him with a left hook of his own.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for, because like I said, he likes to throw it and then lean back. Can Joshua punch with him and land his punch? Because I don't think this fight is going the distance. And even though Joshua hasn't gone rounds, neither has Martin, and he hasn't gone rounds against anyone with the skill or pedigree of Joshua. So I'm thinking maybe 4 rounds, 4 to 6 rounds, this one will be over. So let's move over to the state side of the boxing action, where we've got Gilberto Ramirez and Arthur Abraham for a super middleweight title. A piece of the super middleweight title that Andre Ward has left behind. And then we have Manny Pacquiao and Tim Bradley, who we'll get into the history of that. Ramirez, Abraham. This one is going to be Ramirez's biggest step up in fighting a former world champion in Arthur Abraham, someone who was known for his punching power, but as of late has pretty much been outworked and outboxed because he's gotten a little older. Usually those type of fighters kind of slow down, and when the knockouts start to diminish, the wins do as well.
That's right.
So what we're looking at in this fight is, can Ramirez, who has the faster hands, he has the age advantage, if you will. He's younger.
He's got height and reach advantage.
Right. Can he use those to befuddle Abraham long enough to not get caught by one of Abraham's bombs? The reason that is important is because Ramirez, this is the best person Ramirez has fought. And not being used to going rounds against this type of opponent could wear on him. Like, he could get lost in the moment, being on pay-per-view, trying to impress the crowd, fighting for a title. He may end up punching himself out because Abraham likes to do like the turtle shell defense, where he covers up, lets you fire, and then he counters off with his own shots. Ramirez should be fast enough to get out of the way before Abraham can launch those shots. And with him already being a slow starter, if you will, usually his power bails him out. Lately it has not been able to. But he has won a few fights that got him into this position.
Yeah. Abraham, I'm looking at him to kind of start walking Ramirez down.
Right.
Hopefully Ramirez being the taller, lankier guy, because he's bigger, but he's kind of a lanky dude. I'm really looking at his footwork, because when you're that tall and you're moving around the ring, you don't want to either, like, if you get caught with your feet crossed up or too close together at that height and you get hit, you're going to go down, especially if you get hit with a punch from Abraham. The issue with Abraham is his competition has also not been that high since the Super 6. He's actually played it relatively safe.
Yeah, I mean, he's been using his name in his home country to get lots of money and fights that are winnable. More power to him.
Yeah, look at Sturm, and he he ended up knocking him out, but when Paul Smith was in shape fighting at that fight, he gave him a lot of work.
Yeah, they fought twice, correct?
Yeah, they fought twice, and the first one was close. The second one was close, fairly close until Abraham started wearing him down. Then he beat Sturm again for like the fourth fight, so he's 3-1 versus Sturm or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was someone else he fought who I can't think of, but it's a bunch of guys that you really kind of never heard of. So,
With Stieglitz, Robert Stieglitz.
was it Stieglitz or Sturm that I'm thinking, or was it both of them? Because he had four fights versus someone.
I think that was versus Stieglitz.
Okay, it was Stieglitz, not Sturm, but I think he fought Sturm as well.
Yes, he did.
So bigger names in Germany and in Europe,
Right.
which was big money. So I kind of don't blame him.
Oh no, not at all.
But he's not. They're not on the Kesslers, the Frotches, the DeGales, even Groves, and he's not those guys. So
Butte.
So it's kind of looking at that kind of C plus B level fighters, and I don't want to diminish their ability, but they're not on. If you have them, then you have the Wards, Frotches, Buttes,
Right.
the Gales. That's them. So
And also, let's not forget that those guys are also former world champs.
yes,
So while they may not have been the upper echelon of that division, he was still taking on credible guys, but like Rob said, not too known here in the States.
yeah. And Ramirez, he's trying to get to fighting those guys, and Abraham is in his way. So I think he'll be even more motivated than Abraham. Not to say that Abraham's not motivated, but a young guy, pretty hungry.
Right.
Younger guy, he wants those big money fights that Abraham has been getting in Germany for the last few years.
Yes. And so we think that Ramirez should be able to pull out to an early lead, survive a surge from Abraham in the mid to late rounds, and hang on to get a decision.
Right. If I'm Ramirez, I try to throw around Abraham's guard, work the body.
Lots of angles, lots of turning in angles.
Yeah, please move laterally, boom. Or set him up with a long jab. Abraham, patient, walk him down, punch him between the wide shots.
Yes. And he can do that because that is his MO. So that's what we're going to be looking at for that one. Now, let's move on to the biggest fight of the weekend, which is Manny Pacquiao and Tim Bradley in their trilogy fight. And we pretty much know the history of these two guys. They fought twice, of course. The first one left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because of the decision and how the HBO commentator team was like heavily pro Pacquiao, and a lot of people believe that really influenced the way a lot of people saw the fight, and so was the crowd. I know when we watched it live, I think I personally scored an 8-4 for Pacquiao.
I scored an 8-4 for Pacquiao. I thought Pacquiao had the momentum. I thought he landed the showier shots.
Right.
But if you go back and watch the fight, and really watch the fight without listening to the commentators, you can actually see the work that Bradley was doing.
Right.
I'm not saying that he won,
No.
but I can see how you would score it for Bradley, because there was a lot of punches, in my opinion, that were being scored for Pacquiao that weren't landing. He had the higher activity level. It looks like he was bringing the action, but it's that little stuff that outworking that I think carried Bradley through.
Yeah, and like we said, we don't think he won the fight, but we do think it was a lot closer than a lot of people were giving Bradley credit for.
Right.
Especially when you're in a pro Pacquiao house and with a pro Pacquiao announced team. We're human beings. It happens. But I don't think he won the fight. But, that's water under the bridge. He did get the win. In the record books, he beat Manny Pacquiao. Who cares how you feel?
Now, in the second fight,
We got a little different story.
now Pacquiao won that fight.
Right.
But we also saw, if you ask me, I thought it was even going into the 7th round. The first half of the fight was actually
Yeah, he actually hurt Manny Pacquiao a couple times in the second fight.
And he was actually outworking him for 2.5 minutes. Then Pacquiao would try to explode in the last 30 seconds.
Which he did also in the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
Except Bradley just wasn't as ready for it as he was in the second fight.
Now, because it was an injury in after the second half of the fight, and you could see that Bradley was going for the knockout because he was loading up and really trying to hit Pacquiao with some hard shots upstairs instead of boxing like he was in the first half of the fight.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that had to do with the first fight because he, had that chip on his shoulder like, hey, these guys don't think I can beat this guy. These guys think I lost, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go out there and show them that I can do these things. And he did the same thing in the Rustam Provodnikov fight as well. He's human. The hate really got to him.
And
it's a sad thing.
Was the second fight before or after the last Marquez fight?
It was after.
So if you watch that fight, he was actually going for that right hand that Marquez would land on Pacquiao almost regularly in their fights.
Right.
But not having quite, one, the timing, and two, the power, it really wasn't doing as much. It's not a speed thing when you try to hit Pacquiao with that punch like Marquez. It's timing, and he's fought him 4 times, so he had the timing down. He knocked him down and really landed that punch if you watch all 4 fights.
Yeah, his right hand was almost automatic versus Pacquiao, and Tim Bradley didn't have, and he also didn't have like the composure to sit in there in the fire and risk getting hit by Pacquiao to land that right hand like Marquez did. Because you see in all 4 fights, Pacquiao landed a lot on him. He landed a lot on Pacquiao, which is what made those great fights. But as far as Bradley is concerned, going into this next fight, into this one with Pacquiao, he's made some changes to not only his camp, but his lifestyle that may help him out. Mm-hmm. One of the things, he was in a heavy vegan diet
during his training.
Right. And that's cool if that's your lifestyle and things like that.
No judging.
But as far as like elite level athletes, they do need a little bit more. And I think he realized that, and he went back to eating meat during his training camps, I think starting with the Vargas fight.
Right.
And it's starting to show. He's landing a little bit harder.
No,
he's not getting hit.
It was with the Rios fight.
Rios fight?
It was with the Rios fight, I'm sorry. But not the Vargas fight, the Rios fight.
Yeah. And he's also looking a little bit healthier. Like his muscles are a little bit firmer than they were before. Even though he's always been heavily muscled, people who are really familiar with the fitness field can tell the difference in like a full muscle and like a fluidy muscle.
Damn.
But the other thing is he changed trainers. He left Joel Diaz, who he had been with his entire career, his entire life actually, and went with Teddy Atlas.
We're not going to go into that.
Not the whole particulars and why.
Yeah.
But in his fight with Rios, he showed a lot of composure, and honestly, he was actually doing a lot of the things that Joel Diaz was trying to tell him to do, but he just wasn't listening anymore.
I was wrong. He changed the diet up, not for Rios, because Rios was after Vargas, but Chavez.
Diego Chavez.
He changed up his diet with Diego Chavez. I'm sorry. Brain fart.
Oh, well, we got it cleared up. So with Teddy Atlas is a strategist, he is a teacher, and he is a heavy student of the game. So with that in mind, I think this time they're going to go in there with a very, very solid game plan. I know that they have both studied the tapes of Marquez and Mayweather versus Pacquiao to see what they can do. But for me, personally, I still think that Manny is slightly better than Tim Bradley. But I think Tim Bradley's going to win this fight.
Yeah,
It's just a hunch.
I think Tim Bradley, I don't see him knocking him out unless they got that timing down. But Tim Bradley is a guy that's a supremely hungry guy. And if you watch, and I'll put the links below, I've looked at the training sessions with Teddy Atlas and Timothy Bradley. They had some without the reporters, then they had some with.
Yeah.
And if you watch those media day workouts, it's just go in there, get your workout in, this, that, the other, go home. This one, you can see him still instructing Bradley, like, look, don't forget here, don't forget this. And Bradley, both gloves up, directly in the eye with Atlas. If you know Atlas demands discipline. He demands listening, and if you follow the directions, you will get what you need to do done.
Right.
And you can see how that is working out for the two of them because, like you said, he's more disciplined, more composed, and Bradley being a guy who his father was military, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Is used to discipline.
Yeah.
He's used to obeying authority, knowing what's best for him.
Yeah.
So the pairing is actually a good pairing, and you know he's going to work hard.
Right.
I don't know if this is subterfuge or whatever, but there have been some reports that Pacquiao has been up and down in sparring.
And I was going to bring that up because that's always the case.
Yeah.
There's always a million distractions with Manny Pacquiao. There's always reports that his camp isn't going that great. But when those lights turn on, Manny's on.
But we also have to make sure that with Pacquiao, does he have that? We know he's up for the fight, but is he up for the training? Is he ready to go out there to go again with a guy who is just as hungry, if not more hungry, to prove that he's better than Pacquiao or that he could win against Pacquiao from a few years ago?
Right.
That mental thing, like Pacquiao has a mental edge from the wins, but is he complacent?
Yeah, and that's one of the big questions of the fight. And also, he's been talking about retiring.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got his foot out of the door. One foot out of the door. He could have mentally checked out already. Like, look, I just need to go in there and do what I did before, and this fight is in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a mistake. But, like I said, Manny Pacquiao, a lot of people talk about the knockouts and whatnot, but there was a reason that Floyd Mayweather did not stand in the pocket with him. And there is a reason that Chris Algieri fell down 6 times, getting hit by Manny Pacquiao. He may not have the concussive knockout power, but he can still hurt you.
And he will hit you so fast, he will hit you with a shot you don't see.
And those will put you down. So, in the first fight, I remember thinking that Manny would walk Bradley into something that he didn't see and end up hurting him or stopping him. He did hurt Bradley a few times, and I think that's going to happen again. It's almost inevitable with Manny Pacquiao. He is going to land, and he is going to land something that you don't see. So, can he do it often enough? Because since the Marquez fight, he has been a little more cognizant of his rushes and trying to hide his patented combination of the jab feint left hand. So now that he knows that people are kind of on to that, he's been a little bit smarter in the ring, and that may play into Bradley's hands as well.
And don't forget those explosions in the last 30 seconds. We don't know, because if you've watched the fight, and I've said this before about Bradley, he doesn't really punch as hard upstairs because he can get caught slapping.
He's corrected that a lot.
Yeah, he's corrected it. But watch him as a body puncher. He's a very strong, very solid body puncher. You can see when he hit Rios with that punch, even though Rios wasn't in the best shape, he's done that a few times where he's really taken away someone's legs.
Yeah, and he does it in most of his fights. And I think it actually did work in the first Pacquiao fight because I gave him like the last third of the fight, like 10, 11, 12. And because like Manny was flurrying on him a lot in those early to mid rounds and landing the harder, stronger punches at that point. But then later on, it kind of stopped. And I think he kind of won Bradley's body punching kind of took a little bit of the starch out of him. And also he felt he was comfortably ahead, so he started to coast a little bit.
So knowing that Pacquiao does kind of have a history of leg cramps, especially in his calves, and Bradley might work some body punching to the right side, sorry, to the right side, to the close side of a left to the body.
Yeah.
Kind of look at that because it is exposed.
Right.
Now he may have to go through some fire to do so.
Oh, he is not may have. He will.
But I think if you could take away Pacquiao's leg, you can take away some of that explosiveness and make him still have to still rest more and more as the fight wears on.
Yeah, and I think that is what's going to carry him to victory. It is still going to be close. It's not going to be like a landslide Tim Bradley victory. I think it's going to be 7-5, 8-4, maybe even split decision.
Or even a majority.
Yeah. This one isn't going to be like, it's going to be close.
Yeah.
Like, the only person to like clearly beat Pacquiao really has been Mayweather, like in the last 15 years. Even when he lost to Eric Morales, that fight was close. The fight where he was knocked out by Marquez, he was winning the rounds in that fight, even with the knockdown in the third round. He had scored a knockdown of his own. He was looking incredible. He just got caught, got timed by a master, and down he went. So he has still shown those flashes of brilliance in spite of even losing to Mayweather and losing to Marquez.
Okay.
Like, when he landed those couple hard punches on Mayweather, he probably would have got a lesser fighter out of there. Or at least scored a knockdown. I mean, that was just, he was in there with Mayweather. So, if that Manny Pacquiao shows up, this will be a close fight.
That's right.
So, we're looking forward to seeing it. Hope you guys are too. You got anything else you want to say in closing?
No, that's all we got. Just look forward to a great fight this weekend.
Yeah.
And just let us know what you think down in the comment section. Facebook, CapitalofCombat. Instagram, CapitalofCombat. Email us with your mailbag questions or anything that you want to hear us talk about. And that's all we got for you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the recap. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.